looks like CAF have really outdone themselves this time. With a bombshell, that was the decision to strip Senegal of the African Nations Cup AFCON trophy that they won in Morocco. Things are coming. The reactions are coming thick and fast. The anger is palpable. And although CAF has been quiet, this issue is not going anywhere. Now, given the massive impact that this could have on the African football landscape, it deserves a VAR review. Welcome to VAR. My name is Samuel Bartels. So CAF did the unthinkable. They reached back into history and they have effectively erased Senegal's 1-0 victory over Morocco from the history books. That means Morocco would now be assumed to have won 3-0. As somebody put it, it's really hard to put into words how you can erase the emotions, the trophy presentation, everything else that happened in Morocco and in the aftermath in Senegal. But hey, I'm just a lawyer and I have a few questions that I want us to avert our minds to, not least the potential repercussions this could have on African football. Just think about it. People are beginning to question the credibility of the African Nations Cup just when we thought that we had put the chaos of that final in Morocco behind us. People are raising questions about the credibility of CAF themselves. Now take note, this is an organization that has had all sorts of questions raised about their credibility in the aftermath of what has happened. This is also coming on the heels of the Women's African Cup having been postponed, with speculation that Morocco effectively pulled the rug from under the feet of CAF, probably because of the outcome of the AFCON. So it's inevitable that people will find a way to link this to CAF perhaps trying to repair their relationship with Morocco. But all these are speculative, all these are social reasons, all these are potential reasons. But what is actually the case as regards the law? Well, the decision of the CAF body has been communicated and the relevant articles have been pointed to. So there's no point for me to repeat those articles. We've already had the responses. For Morocco, this is a win for them, and this is also a vindication of the position they had taken afterwards. And of course, this is a reward for taking the step to appeal against the decisions that the referee made on the field. A number of questions are raised, and those are the questions that I want to put to you in this edition of VAR. For the Senegalese, so just to put it into context, CAF invoked Articles 82 and 84. They didn't just fine Senegal in the first instance, but they declared a 3-0 forfeit 60 days after the trophy was awarded. Is there double jeopardy to the extent that the teams involved have already been punished, and particularly the Senegalese have been punished for their part in what happened in the final? Now, it isn't just about crying foul or the Senegalese Football Federation crying foul. They're already building a high-level case for the Court of Arbitration for Sports. Now, here on VAR, I'm going to analyze what will be at stake when this case goes to the Court of Arbitration for Sports. For the Senegalese Football Federation, their biggest argument is one of procedural continuity. CAF says Senegal refused to continue the match. But the question is, did they? The players left the pitch for 15 to 17 minutes, but they returned. Critically, the referee, Jean-Jacques Indala, who had the authority to decide on the pitch whether this 17-minute amounted to forfeit, did not whistle for an abandonment. Now remember that there's precedent in CAF circles, in CAF club competitions, where clubs that stayed out of the pitch in protest for up to an hour were declared to have abandoned the match, and the referee took the decision to whistle. This is in the case, for instance, of referee Gassama's decision in the game that involved Wydad and Experience some years back. So if the referee didn't blow for a forfeit, it means that he did not initiate Article 84 forfeit protocol. And by allowing the match to resume, the referee effectively appears to have cured the breach. Now, in sports law, generally speaking, once a match is completed and the result is satisfied by the referee's final whistle, the referee's decision and the final outcome is usually seen as sacrosanct. So the Senegalese Federation would most likely be arguing that CAF cannot forfeit a match that was successfully finished and validated as such by the referee. But how strong is this argument? Now, Senegal will probably again flag a major issue, which is the appeals board's overturning the disciplinary committee board. Why? Because according to the appeals board, in the first instance failed to respect Morocco's right to be heard, which means the decision was taken without Morocco being given a hearing. What's the counter from Senegal? Well, they will probably counter that the appeals board has now infringed on Senegal's own rights by issuing a maximum penalty, stripping the title, without a fresh transparency, evidentiary process and hearing. In essence, they are saying if the process at the disciplinary level was flawed for Morocco, then it is flawed for Senegal at the appeals level. Now, there's a case to be made for not killing an ant with a sledgehammer, which is where the issue of proportionality comes in. And the Court of Arbitration for Sports has a long history of leaning towards proportionality, which means for every decision that is taken, whether it matches the corresponding infringement in terms of severity. The stripping a continental title after a referee's decision after the award by CAF, after the passage of 60 days, proportional to the said infringement? And what does it say about the credibility of the African game, the judicial processes of the Confederation of African Football? Is it a proportional response to a 15 to 17 minute protest in which no violence occurred? Senegal would probably point out that in the Esperance versus Wydad case, even then when VAR failed and the team refused to play, CAS was hesitant to simply hand over the trophy. They prefer results to be decided on grass. And this raises a very important issue, which is what precedent will be set for future African Cup of Nations. And would the history books really recognize Morocco as having won the AFCON? Or perhaps a more equitable outcome is to declare that this final was a no contest, and so nobody gets awarded a trophy, or perhaps this final gets replayed. So what's likely to be the verdict? Well, if the Court of Arbitration, so what's then likely to be the verdict by the Court of Arbitration for Sport? I would not speculate here, but if the CAS is to follow its own precedent of sporting integrity, then perhaps CAF's decision may likely be on shaky grounds. Stripping a team of a title, and remember, when it comes to the law, there's a pure legal argument, but there's also something called equity. And the question then becomes, stripping a team of a title after 2-3 months for an incident the referee chose to manage on the pitch. Equitably, could you then say that you are right in stripping one of the teams off the title? If this is held to be the case, just imagine the chaos and the precedent this will have for future tournaments. Not to mention the impact it's going to have, not just on the football loyalties across Africa, but in essence, we are talking about African unity. We are talking about geopolitics here. Because I'll be surprised if various federations start queuing behind the team or the federation that they support in this matter. And don't be surprised if this spills into a diplomatic spat across the continent, particularly between Senegal and Morocco, especially after the incidents we saw in the aftermath of the finals and the treatments that citizens of Senegal who happen to be in Morocco were subjected to. For many years now, Morocco has probably been the most benevolent country on the continent as far as football is concerned, hosting many countries that have facilities that are not up to the standard in World Cup and Nations Cup qualification. Is this likely to affect their relationships? And in the absence of Morocco's benevolence, which probably will be reconsidered based on the reactions that come from the different federations. And I guess the difference being, if your federation head doesn't sit in CAF, they probably will be minded to throw down the gauntlet or perhaps express an opinion on this matter. So the question then becomes, what will be the next step? Well, the Senegalese have already said they are going to the aforementioned Court of Arbitration for Sports to launch an appeal. And they do have a fair chance of getting this decision overturned. The question then becomes, what happens to CAF's reputation? The Senegalese are already alleging widespread corruption at the level of CAF. Now, whether this is true or not, this could plunge African football into a period of crisis and into a period of reckoning and a period of division among federations, as CAF itself begins to introspect about its identity and its direction as far as African football is concerned. And all this has not been helped by the role of Morocco in all of this. Again, questions will be asked. Is Morocco simply being a spoilt brat that CAF is sucking up to because CAF cannot simply win itself off the tits of Morocco as far as its dependency syndrome is concerned? This is a huge issue and the world will be watching. Now, as much as I don't think the world should look down on African football or judge us harshly because of these goings-ons, it's inevitable that we will be in the news for the wrong reasons. So, with all respect, the CAF decision is out. So, the battle lines have been drawn. Senegal have signaled their intent to go as far as they can to ensure that justice is done. Morocco have applauded the decision of the appeals body of CAF. What is justice in this case? And how will justice, as rendered by the Court of Arbitration for Sport as a final authority on this matter, reflect on the reputation of the Confederation of African Football, its president, and its administrators? Will it come out of this smelling of roses, or will the trust that federations and football fans across the continent have for CAF have been broken irrevocably by the time the dust settles on this matter? Stay with us. We'll keep an eye on every single development and give you all the perspectives, from the reputational perspective, the legal perspectives, and all other angles that matter to you. Well, that's VAR for today. My name is Samuel Bartels. If you love our content, and I have no doubt that you love our content, click to subscribe, click to like this and any other content that's on our Yo Charlie platform. We'll see you again.